Judges across the country this past week showed us that they have essentially lost any and all patience for Republican politicians and Republican operatives with their idiotic behavior in court. Now, the first of which involved Donald Trump, right? We all know that Donald Trump tried to argue to Judge Chutkan this week that, Judge, you can't unseal more evidence against me because Kamala Harris is already using it in attack ads. Please don't do it. Please wait until after the election. And Chutkan said, no, I'm going to release it Friday. Thanks for playing, though. Here's all the information, public. And it was released. So Trump got put in his place by a judge, which happens all the time in front of any judge that's not named Eileen Cannon, of course. But Donald Trump was not the only one who suffered at the hands of a judge this week. His good buddy Rudy Giuliani, fighting off those criminal charges in Arizona, got smacked down by Maricopa County Judge Bruce Cohen this week after Giuliani was continuing to seek information about the grand jury that indicted him. Giuliani had been claiming in court that this grand jury, that, by the way, was impaneled prior. They didn't even know what they would be investigating when they were impaneled. The Arizona just kind of creates grand juries and they sit there waiting until a case comes their way. That way, you know for certain that none of these people were swayed by the particular case they were going to get. You get the grand jury first, the case second. Nevertheless, Giuliani claimed that these people all had a political bias against him, by God, so he wants all of their detailed information. And on Thursday, Judge Bruce Cohen slapped that down. Here's what he said. He did not provide any allegations that would support this claim, but rather imagined a circumstance where grand jurors may have been summoned and selected based upon their purported political ideology. When pressed by the court during oral argument, counsel for defendant Giuliani acknowledged that there was no underlying factual support for the claim. In other words, he argued that he should be permitted to pursue the theory because it had not been demonstrated that the theory was baseless. And then, of course, after writing all of that, the judge dismissed Giuliani's claim. So Giuliani has exhausted Judge Cohen. Like, I'm not putting up with this. I'm not dealing with this crap. You're coming in here with conspiracy theories. Get the hell out with them. So Trump gets smacked down by Chutkan. Giuliani gets smacked down by Cohen. But believe it or not, those two events were not the most glorious smackdown at the hands of a judge to a right-wing politician this week. No, that accolade goes to Ron DeSantis' legal team. You see, Ron DeSantis, for those of you who may not be familiar with the story, we have an amendment coming up on the ballot in November, Amendment 4, that would allow, basically it would get rid of the state's 6-week abortion ban and allow abortions up to the point where the fetus is viable. Meaning, you can have an abortion up to the point where a doctor determines that if we took the baby out now, the baby would survive. So, that's what Amendment 4 says. It's got to be approved by 60% of the voters because DeSantis changed the law a few years ago. But it is popular, and that is what DeSantis is afraid of. So a group that was running ads in support of Amendment 4 on local channels down here in Florida, they were hit, or the networks, I should say, that were running them were hit with a cease and desist order from the DeSantis administration. They said, no, you cannot run ads in support of this amendment, which of course is a huge First Amendment violation. So they immediately took it to court because some of these networks did pull the ads after threats from the DeSantis administration. So this week they were in court, and here's what happened. Tallahassee U.S. District Judge Mark Walker asked Brian Barnes, who was a lawyer for the DeSantis administration, point blank whether the ad at issue stated that Florida's 6-week ban lacks an exception to protect the life of the mother. Barnes, who represents Florida's Surgeon General Joseph Ladapo, in the suit filed by the sponsoring organization for Amendment 4, responded that the ad implied a lack of exceptions. The judge said, "I don't want to waste my time with non-answers to my questions." So they got smacked down pretty hard. They're like, "Hey, does the ad say this?" He's like, the ad may or may not say that. And the judge is basically like, piss off if you're not going to answer my question. I love it. It gets worse. Barnes argued that the ad put other women at risk because the woman in the ad who says that she had to undergo chemotherapy under the law, they wouldn't have allowed her to have an abortion. The woman's statement might dissuade them from seeking medical attention for a pregnancy complication. That's what the lawyers for DeSantis said. He insisted the state would also have interest in stopping a theoretical commercial stating that the 911 emergency line is not working. And the judge slapped that down and he said, how in the world would a political ad supporting a political amendment constitute commercial speech? Because you're trying to say that, oh, no, this isn't a political issue. This is a business issue. And the judge is like, this is not a business issue. Like, you're not even raising a business issue, and yet you're trying to claim it's a business issue. This is the dumbest thing I think that this Judge Walker has ever heard. But here's the overall point. Republicans are losing in courts. We have seen it multiple times this week outside of these examples. We have seen voter purges stopped. We have seen the voter suppression in Georgia stopped by judges. And I think, and this is not necessarily happening across the board, look at Texas, but what we are starting to see is that these judges, some appointed or elected as Republicans, some not, they're getting tired of this. They're getting tired of being called on to be the referees every time Republicans whine about something. That's not what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be determining legality. And instead, what they have to do time after time after time is deal with every grievance a Republican has when something doesn't go their way. Whether it's Donald Trump whining about, oh, I'm in the middle of a campaign, you can't release evidence. Or Giuliani saying, I think these people are biased. Or Ron DeSantis' lawyers just being dumb as dirt. Judges are getting sick of it. And that is a very good thing for this country. Because hopefully it's a sign that these judges aren't going to take up these idiotic Republican cases, these idiotic Republican arguments, and they're just going to continuously smack them down until these Republicans learn to just give it a rest. Thanks for watching today, everybody. And don't forget, if you're not already, please do subscribe to this channel. We have fresh content going up every single day, and I would really hate for you to miss out on that. And speaking of missing out, if you're not following me across all other social media outlets, then get on it. You can follow the links in the description of this video.